As you're aware, I represent core participant Susan Sinclair, who was the first Sub Postmaster to successfully appeal her conviction in Scotland. I just have a few questions for you today. At paragraph 174 of your first witness statement, you state that on the back of the mass exoneration legislation proposed by the UK government earlier this year, the NFSP made several attempts to initiate a meeting with the Scottish Justice Minister and the Lord Advocate, but to no avail.
Yeah.
Can you please elaborate on your attempts to meet with these individuals? When did you first contact them? What was the format of your communication? And have you been successful in receiving any kind of response?
We've received a response, which I think is within the core bundle, and I can't remember the very specific details of it, but I think you'll have been able to read that. But as far as trying to get to the Lord Advocate and the Justice Minister of Scotland has proved difficult. I think they've obfuscated that down the line. I have to say, in contrast, we sent the same correspondence at the same time to the counterparts within Northern Ireland, who very graciously invited us to meet with them, and they were very clear about their desire to be included within the new legislation that the government sort of introduced. But we've heard nothing from the Scottish Government or the Lord Advocate on that basis.
So there's no proposed meeting at the moment with the Lord Advocate?
No.
In recent months, the Lord Advocate in Scotland has publicly confirmed that she and the Crown Office in Scotland is committed to addressing all miscarriages of justice and to achieving justice for those impacted, and that she is committed to reflecting on whether anything could have been done differently by prosecutors in Scotland. Is this reflective of the NFSP's experience of the personal commitment by the Lord Advocate to get to the bottom of the events which gave rise to this scandal in Scotland?
As you know, obviously the process in Scotland is different than it is down here. And it's something that's kind of perplexed me, I have to say, and again, I'm talking as someone who's non-legal, but much has been made about the fact that the Post Office can do private prosecutions. But coming from Scotland, I'm aware that obviously that can't be done. And when you look at the proportion of people who have been convicted in Scotland in comparison to the rest of the country, it's not disproportionate. So you kind of have to question what is going on within Scotland that's different down here. Because I would have hoped that actually, given the fact that the Procurator Fiscal has to take it, and I'm right in saying that, so the evidence is presented to the Procurator Fiscal, who then looks at it and determines whether a case will be brought, rather than the Post Office being able to obfuscate all of that and bring it. That there would have been less people in Scotland, but it doesn't seem to be the case. And I think that's a fundamental question that the Lord Advocate needs to answer, as to why there is as many people within Scotland who have been victimised on a proportional basis as there has been down here. But I do think it's really important that when it comes to exonerating these people and making sure that they get the redress they deserve, that happens as quickly as possible. And it's really important that the Scottish Government and the Lord Advocate get that sorted.
And that brings me on to my final question. According to information provided by the Scottish Cabinet Secretary, Angela Constance, earlier this month, only 2 out of a possible 141 affected Sub Postmasters have thus far been written to in accordance with the terms of the mass exoneration legislation in Scotland. And indeed, the Scottish Government is apparently still in the process of assessing the 141 possible cases. In your view, what more should be done in Scotland at this time, and by whom?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't know the answer to that one, actually, to be honest. I'm sorry, but I think the Lord Advocate, at the end of the day, Lord Advocate is the most senior person within the legal industry within Scotland. So you'd have to say the responsibility lies with her. I think it's a her. So on that basis, I think that's where it should start. I think what is worrying is, my understanding is that when it comes to the number of people, the people who have been convicted, actually, they're not necessarily aware of who the people are. There's a lot of people, so that, that they just don't know who. They know there's been convictions, but they don't know who they are or where they are, and that's really worrying, because there could be people sitting at home, and I think this is maybe something, and I hope I'm not talking out of turn here. I'm not sure whether we can just exonerate someone, give them some money, job's done, see you later, on you go. I don't think that's enough, because I do think that there are people out there who are broken, emotionally, physically. As a result of that, they have absolutely no trust within the authorities of this country. It has left them broken. And I do think that there has been an attempt, maybe attempt's the wrong word, but there has been, well, if a kind of thought process, well, if we just say sorry, we exonerate them, give them some money, everything's fine. Everything in the garden is rosy. And I don't think that's going to be the case. I think this is going to live with people for the rest of their lives, irrespective of whether they are exonerated and get compensation. It's, one of the other things that's going on at this moment in time, or has just completed, is the infected blood scandal. Okay, so we say sorry, we give them the compensation. You can't cure hepatitis on that basis. These people, unfortunately, and I know people who have sadly, whose families have been impacted by that. You can't just get away from that. Sorry.
So in short, more work has to be done in Scotland.
Absolutely, without question. Sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Greenhow.